Welcome back. You're watching NewsCentre. Companies could soon find it easier to liquidate outside the insolvency and bankruptcy process. This after the centre amended the Companies Amalgamations Arrangements Compromises Rules 2016. Under the new rules, the government can issue a no-objection certificate to the liquidation of a company if it is suggested by the registrar and liquidator in 30 days. The government can also issue an NOC within 15 days after the expiry of 30 days given to the registrar and liquidator. Moreover, the scheme will be considered approved if the government doesn't issue an order within 60 days. Let me now go across to Rudra Pandey of Shardul Amarchand Mangaldas. Rudra Pandey, thank you very much for joining us. Give us a sense of what section of companies will benefit from this easier process.
Thank you, Parikshit, for having me. Let me tell you that basically Rule 25, Sub-Rule 5 and Sub-Rule 6 have been amended by Ministry of Corporate Affairs, largely due to the fact that despite Section 233 talks about fast-track merger, in terms of the procedural delay at the ROC and RD level, the company was not being merged or amalgamated in a timely manner, and therefore this deeming provision has been incorporated in the said rules. Now, the benefit will go to largely the startups when they are merging into, say, group companies of that group of the startup companies, or the startup company and the small companies, and the wholly owned subsidiaries with the holding company. So largely three buckets, and of course the last bucket is the small companies, between the small companies. This is not meant to be for the larger corporates. This is meant to be for a smaller company and a startup company in that sense.
Right. Rudra Pandey, I'd also like to ask you, what was the earlier timeline for mergers, and to what extent has this been cut down?
So the timeline is still the same, actually. The only concept that they have amended in Rule 5, Sub-Rule 5 and Sub-Rule 6 is a deeming provision, wherein, so basically how the process works, when a company is intending to do a fast-track merger, they need to issue a notice in a prescribed form to ROC and basically to the MCA. ROC and OL, which is the official liquidator, they need to give their objections to that amalgamation proposal to the regional director called RD. So this entire process of the objection need to be completed within 30 days. And then once the objection is given or no objection is given, the RD need to give a confirmation that they are fine with the fast-track merger scheme. Now, what was happening is that ROC was taking time and also RD was taking time. And therefore, this deeming provision will help basically the whole purpose of fast-track can be achieved, which is essentially within 60 days, the entire merger will need to be approved or confirmed. If not, if they are not doing anything, I mean, in the sense they are not confirming in a prescribed form, if they have an objection, they need to apply to the NCLT to bring the 233 merger scheme under 232 scheme. So basically, deeming provision will help cut down the procedural timeline.
Right. Finally, does this help liquidation of cases pending in the NCLT outside the IBC framework?
No, this will not help the IBC process, actually, because this has nothing to do with the IBC process. That will be driven by the IBC proceeding. I'm not the IBC expert, but to the best of my knowledge, that's a different process. This is largely to benefit the startup, the smaller companies, and merging the wholly owned subsidiary with the holding company. Nothing beyond that.
Right. And finally, when it comes to mergers in small subsidiaries of large companies or with regard to startups, are there any other pending issues which are on the anvil, according to you?
Yeah, so there's one issue where, like supposingly you have a holding company in a different registrar jurisdiction and the wholly owned subsidiaries in a different ROC jurisdiction. So then there are two separate applications need to be filed. We had recommended, and the MCA is considering if there can be one composite applications, but that is a very minor issue. largely the timeline is the key issue because the whole concept of fast-track merger was not achieved, which with this process deeming provision, we are sure a great initiative by Ministry of Corporate Affairs will address the key concern from the industry side.
All right, Rudra Kumar Pandey, thank you very much for joining us here, giving us your views on the changes that have been made as far as the amalgamation and merger of companies is concerned. That's all we have time for here on NewsCentre. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.